we got here and realised we didn't have anything apart from the table and chairs I'm at,
Yeah.
and a mattress, pretty much.
So pretty much unfurnished, and so you've had to start from scratch.
Didn't have a fridge, didn't have a freezer, didn't have a washing machine or a dishwasher or anything like that. So I had to
Wow.
order that stuff to come like urgently.
Yeah.
I have a little like Red Bull fridge.
Yeah, yeah.
That was our fridge for probably a week, maybe, I think, with that. And yeah, still haven't got a sofa, which is
Oh man,
yeah, the sofa
they,
is taking ages. It's
they
all
take a while.
yeah, it's not going to come until the 10th of May. And honestly, I don't even know half the time. It's like stuff turns up and you're like, when did I order this? That's the situation it's been at the moment. But yeah, I mean,
Oh my God.
I sent you a photo of where that's my living room with the big window.
That looks amazing though, dude. It looks really, it's almost like something you'd expect to see in like one of those, I don't know, like official buildings, like a church or something like that, or a chapel. Do you know what I mean? It's just like
So
super massive.
it's a converted textile factory.
Ah,
Yeah, and the house is it's like a terraced house in the
yeah,
textile factory, but it's over 3 floors. So I'm currently on the ground floor,
yeah,
um, which is the space that we don't know what to do with it, basically. So it's like extra space. So the kitchen's here, and then there's like a hallway, a downstairs toilet, like a cupboard which we just put all like I don't know, freezer and tools and like vacuum cleaner, that kind of stuff in it. But then there's the whole side, which is behind, like in front of me, on the other side of my Mac, where Cardboard City is, where we're just like, I don't know what to do with it. It's like so much space.
that's
Uh,
mad.
and then
Compared to where you were in London as well, I imagine like so different, so different.
three times the size of my
That's
flat
mad.
in London. And yeah, the same. This floor's got massive windows in it, similar to the floor above. But you can kind of just
Yeah,
see it in the mirror there. That's the same
yeah, yeah,
kind of big window. Then the floor above is like the like lounge space, I guess, and that's where we'll put the sofa eventually. And I've got like a little desk in there, which is what I've spent a large portion of my day doing, as I had about 30 orders of stuff to post out. It takes time. Um, and then that floor's also got a bedroom which we've set up as a training room for me. So I've been setting that up.
yeah. I saw some pictures of that with them. Is that where you've got the mat? The
Yeah,
I don't know, I want to say it's like 15 mil, but it's like recycled rubber that you've got down on there,
yeah,
which is really cool.
it's like it's recycled and taken from like old gyms, basically.
Mm,
Big, they're so heavy. They're these huge meter by meter square mats of rubber, and they're heavy. And then so I laid that, built a wall of like storage units in it. We've got one of the bikes set up in there. All the bikes will be kept in there just to keep it kind of in one
yeah,
space. Um, and then the top floor is another bedroom and my partner's like office space, and we've got
yeah.
3 bathrooms throughout it, which is it's insane.
Wow.
And I am recording. I'm telling you now because I
Sure.
thought, well, I don't need to like talk to you beforehand. Like we know, like I don't have to give you that like the spiel of what will happen because we chat loads anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah, 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 definitely. So,
Uh,
I love chatting. I love chatting.
exactly. The problem is with you and me is we can talk for probably about 5 hours.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
Uh,
you have to keep me honest, man. Keep me honest and keep us on target. But now I'm looking forward to it because, yeah, I think the move is massive. And also, I'm just thinking about the investment at the moment. You're talking about like the furniture and all that sort of stuff. Like, I don't even want to know what your bank manager's thinking right about now because of all the stuff that keeps appearing in your house.
this will make you laugh. I got a letter from. I've got a few different bank accounts, and my main, which I think most people do, my main bank sent me a letter today saying we're just doing fraud checks because there's been loads of money coming out of your account. And I was like, well, it's good to know they have, but, you know.
Yeah,
But
it's me. Guilty as charged.
yeah, I'll call them up tomorrow and say, yeah, sorry, I have moved house. I've had to buy like loads of new furniture. But it's exciting. It's nice to be. I definitely feel a lot more relaxed. I'm apologising to anyone listening that I haven't recorded a podcast in maybe 3 or 4 weeks. It's probably 3 weeks, and that is. I'm quite happy to talk about it. Part of it is, as we've already been discussing, is just sorting out a new home. Part of it is I work on the side for Cervélo as well, and it's come up a few times. And for Cervélo, I help basically produce an internal podcast for them, and which is one that goes to people that work for Cervélo. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on at Cervélo at the moment, which will become clear at some point in the future.
I'm excited.
That's taking a lot of my time up. I can't really say any more than that, otherwise I'll get in a lot of trouble. And then 011 stuff's been really busy. I've just had a lot on with that. These t-shirts,
They're doing really well.
I sold out.
I see them pop up.
Yeah, the first one completely sold out. The second, so I had to reorder them, which I never do. And everyone that's sold, a donation goes to Movember. So it's great for me because it's like, designing something, and every single one that goes out, someone's buying it, and then a proportion of money goes to charity. So it's great. It just feels good.
That's it.
But when you've got 35 of them to post out, it's quite a lot to sort out.
Yeah. Was that one of the requisites for where you moved to? It must be close to a post office for your sideline hustles.
So I have a post office close by. It's probably like a 5-minute walk away, but okay. I do all the postage online. I just pay for it all online. So I walk in there and just give them a load of stuff, and then they just scan it. But if I've got I only do it if I've got like 5 or so orders. If I've got like 30 odd orders, I will drive to there's a click and drop box where you can just drop if you print all your postage off, you can just drop it off.
You can drop it there.
I did that today. And then also been really busy planning something for the end of this month, which is gonna really hurt. But it's for a very good cause. You're one of the only people that I've told about this, and obviously whoever listens to this podcast as well. But effectively, this month is Testicular Cancer Awareness Month.
Okay.
Movember have done a really, really lovely campaign about it, actually. It's really it's very intelligently done, and it's done to try and to appeal to younger men, because testicular cancer is most common in younger men. And I say younger men, I'm talking like guys in their 20s, that sort of age.
Wow.
So the whole campaign is all about nuts and bolts, checking your pairs, and they're like, the graphics they've done is like a PlayStation controller, and it's like, oh, you can control one of these, but do you know how to check your nuts? It's really nicely done.
Yeah. So bringing the game element into it.
Yeah, exactly. So at the end of this month, I'm going to. I think we basically agreed it yesterday. This is very, very new. It's effectively, it's still like the name of the project and everything isn't there. I'm still working on that, but long and short of it, it's riding coast to coast of the UK, but the widest point. Because everyone does the narrowest point.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it on the widest point. And the idea, I still need to like work out exactly what the wording and how it's going to be talked about, but it is to be done during this month to basically fundraise for Movember and create more awareness about testicular cancer, and how, especially for younger guys, is the fact that you just need to check your nuts, really simply. Yeah. So the widest point of the UK is nearly 700 kilometers. So it's big.
You don't do like like a London to Brighton thing though, Chris, do you? I mean,
I love London to Brighton. It's one of my favourite rides.
I know, but the stuff you do. Like I think when we spoke, we had our longer chat back in August. I think it was just before you did like 107 TDF,
Yeah.
like the week before. And I was just like, my mind was just blown thinking about that. And then we talked about you doing Australia and going across the, do you know what I mean? Like you don't do the regular stuff. So when you said it was going to hurt, I'm like, it sure will, because you, I don't know, you specialize in the pain game in my book anyway, from where I'm sitting.
I've planned it on Komoot. I need to go through the route and with a fine comb just to double check it. But I planned it on Komoot, and Komoot reckons it's 35 hours of riding. I reckon it's 30. I reckon 30 is more realistic. Every ride, I think generally I find with the Komoot rides that I tend to knock off time on them. I do them quicker than the predicted time. But the route itself is effectively all of the climbing is the first third.
Mm-hmm.
So basically starting in Land's End and then going straight across to Lowerscroft, which is the most, so it's the most western point of the UK. It's the most eastern point of the UK.
Easterly.
Yeah.
Did you touch Lowerscroft before when you did 107 TDF?
Yeah, exactly. So I've been to both places before, but not like that.
Not like, no. And will it be like how are you breaking it down? Like how many days are you planning to do it over?
30 hours. That's it.
What, straight?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and do 30 hours straight.
Oh my God, my man. What a hero.
I mean, I think I will probably stop for a snooze at some point. But the goal is to try and do it as quick as possible, because I don't think there is a modern record of it. And what I say by that is I know that it has been done like probably 100 or so years ago, but I don't think there's a modern time record of it. I think there's an older record of it. I need to look into it a bit more, but I don't think there's a modern one. So I'd like to go as fast as I can. What bike I do it on, no idea. Realistically, how long it's going to take, I don't know. It goes straight through central London, so maybe I might see some mates through that point. You never know.
Well, when let us know when, because I'll be definitely up for coming to see. Because when you did 107 TDF, I just saw loads of people that I know were like coming to meet you at these different places. I just had proper FOMO. So yeah, definitely let me know, man. And will we be able to track you this time as well? Like see where you are?
I think so. I'm not going to have the same tracker as I had last time, because I just don't think I can get it sorted out in time, to be honest with you. But with the Wahoo Roam, you can send like a tracking link.
All right.
So I think what I'm going to do is just put that tracker link in my like social media handle as the website thing. So you could just click on that link, and it should work as a tracker in theory.
This is nuts. I'm just trying to do some maths here. So you said 700 kilometers, just 30 hours.
Yeah.
It's like 20 something kilometers an hour with lumpy bits in there.
Yeah. And I mean the lumpy. I'll show you I can get the route up on here on my phone and just flash it up to you to show you the elevation on it. Where is the old Komoot? And anyone that's not watching this, you might want to watch this to see this bit. Although the ride is actually public, I think, on my Komoot profile, and it's just called Coast to Coast right now, and it looks hilarious. Oh man, look how bright that is.
That's super bright.
Oh, does it work? Does it adjust?
Come on. It adjusts a little bit. I see difficulty. Yeah.
Where is the elevation gone? I thought I had it a second ago. Oh, there we are.
Ooh. So was that 6,350 meters?
6,000, yeah, 6,350. So the really hilly side is where it will be starting. And this is going through like Cornwall and Devon and all that. And then London's kind of about here.
Okay, yeah.
And then it's like just over halfway is London. And then the last bit of it is Norfolk, which is pan flat.
a bit flattish.
Yeah.
Yeah, mate, epic. Always inspirational. Every time I chat to you, I'm like, I need to up my game. I need to step up
You
because
don't.
this is just
You
ridiculous.
do. You do
Wow.
a lot more than you realise. You do, and I've realised I've spoken about me for the last freaking like 18 minutes. I'm
It's
sorry.
interesting. It's all good. Don't worry.
It's because
It's ebb and flow. It's all good.
it's in my head at the moment. That's what it
Yeah.
is. That's what I've been
It'd be
spending.
in my head too if I was going to do that. But I'd be more on the commute time, like 35, 40 hours, not 30.
You're stronger than you think you are. I really have wanted to do a podcast with you, Kofi, for a long time, and we've just not managed to make it work. Slash, we've both been busy. Slash, I kind of basically spontaneously messaged you and just going, "Dude, let's do a podcast." That was pretty much it, wasn't it? And I said,
Yeah.
and
I'm down.
and you're like, "Yep, up for it." And the only criteria was it had to be when you put your kids to bed, and you haven't put your kids to bed, so
Failed.
might as well start scrap it, mate. Might as well stop.
Yeah, I failed. I apologize. Yeah, when I booked it, like they're on holiday still, and like today they just want to listen to tunes and like play around and all that sort of stuff. So I can hear some footsteps, but they know I'm talking to you because I remember when we chatted when we were on holiday and stuff. So they're like, "Oh, is it Chris, the crazy cycling man?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's Chris." So don't be busting in and trying to get in on the chat because it's for his podcast and you won't appreciate it.
I wouldn't mind at all. It's part of the fun of it, mate. The big thing that I want to talk about with you is, obviously part of it is yourself, because I think you as a cyclist is really interesting anyway.
Okay.
I like your kind of how you got into riding, and I really liked you put a post up recently on social media of you some years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
really
yeah.
nice to see. It's really nice to
Yeah.
see. And then you currently have a very, very nice bike.
Yes, I do. I
Yeah,
do.
which you're not giving back, I'm pretty sure.
Well, if this is being recorded, I hope I get to keep it. It's not been confirmed, but basically, if the phone call comes, I'm not answering. That's how it's going.
Just change your number. They just change your number.
Change my number. When
Yeah.
DPD come to collect, Kofi is not home because it's an absolute beauty. It's the specialized ethos that I've got at the moment, which it's a delightful machine, a really delightful machine.
How does it feel? I mean, it's super lightweight, isn't it?
Yeah.
And do you notice it when you're riding it?
You do. Like what you notice is like when you're climbing, like it doesn't take much, and the front wheel will want to come off the ground.
Yeah.
And it's stiff, so like it literally does feel like every ounce of effort you put into it directly propels you forward. So yeah, it's like a super upgrade and a dream machine that I couldn't have hoped to afford if it wasn't for the good folks over at Specialized, really. So yeah, I'm massively grateful and appreciative, really.
What because your old bike is a tarmac anyway, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, so yeah, I ride a Specialized. So that's a Tarmac SL2, which I've had for, when did I get that? 2013, I think I got that one. And have done some DIY on it, like upgrades on it, put some new wheels on it last summer because I was like, well, I'm not going on holiday, so I'll treat my bike.
Yeah.
So I put some 50mm aeros. I think actually it was shortly after I saw your bike for the 107 TDF where you had the back fin thing and it was on this 50mm sexiness. And I remember talking to you about it. I was like, seriously, man, like that looks so dope. And you're like, no, really, it's aero benefit. And I was like, well, if it's good for Chris, then it's good for me. So I put it in order and got some wheels.
I debated what wheels I was going to ride for that challenge for a long time. And it came down because I've got a variety of, very lucky to have a variety of different depth wheels. Very lucky to work with a bike. Well, in fact, two wheel manufacturers. So one being Parcours and one being Aerocoach. Aerocoach support me for time trialing wheels and Parcours support me for everything else, which is kind of a dream situation. But it meant that I also had a variety of different depth wheels to go for. And I was going down the route of going, I should go for a shallower rim because it'll be lighter. That was my thinking. And my coach Ken, who is the last podcast I recorded, was like, no, you're going to put 50mm carbon rims in it. I don't care what you say. Deep section wheels, because they will help you in the long run. It's like, they're going to be a little bit heavier up the hills, but when you're, generally speaking, it's going to save you energy when you're riding 107 miles every day for that many days. It will help in the long run. The only time I regretted it was going through Inverness. There's a bridge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a little bridge that crosses the estuary, and the wind was just going across it, and going north towards John O'Groats, no problem, had a tailwind. Going south, coming back down to London, massive crosswinds. And I remember thinking, like, I'm not a religious guy, but I believe there's something. I don't know what it is. It's more, I believe that there's a right and a wrong, and there's morals are really important, and that's kind of how I was raised. But it was one time where I was holding onto the handlebars, and I was just like, please do not let me crash right now.
No, that would not have been the one at all, because crosswinds are not your friend with 50mm. But I remember when we were chatting before we did our chat in August, you were telling me about Parcours Wheels, and because I that was a touch. Do you remember? I didn't know what to get, and I was like, I'm just asking about wheels. What do you reckon? And you're telling me about them and going through all the different sort of ones that I could possibly get. So shortly after that, basically, I invested. Lovely bikes and lovely wheels, and very lucky man, really. Very lucky.
Yeah.
As are you, really. But you deserve it, man. You do so much amazing stuff for not just the community of cycling, but for the world, the Pace Center and Movember and all this stuff. And I honestly, I just think sometimes it's karma, really, isn't it? If you try and put out good energy, then good stuff comes back. That's how I sort of like to believe the world operates,
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. When I was a kid, and still, in fact, my dad always said to me to treat others how you want to be treated yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's been something that has fundamentally stuck with me ever since I was a kid. And then as I got a bit older, that changed to don't be a dick. And they've stuck to me. They've always stuck to me. And my dad's he's an interesting character. He's he's very, very northern. He's from Newcastle originally. But he lived in Liverpool. He lived in Derbyshire. He's lived all across the country. He now lives in the Isle of Man. And he used to be a professional sidecar and motorbike racer. And he got into that because he was training to be a mechanic. He didn't have a great upbringing as a kid, had a lot of tension with his parents, and effectively how can I word this in the not nasty way? When he was growing up as a kid, he was kind of left to fend for himself with his brother. And my dad's brother trained to be a plumber, and my dad trained to be a mechanic, and they lived with their tutor because they couldn't afford to rent anything, basically, when they were students. So lived with their tutors and trained. And my dad then started racing on motorbikes and became quite good at it. And my dad's brother set up his own plumbing company, which is now quite a big company in Derbyshire, ironically. So pretty close to where I now live.
Yeah, not far, right? It's just southeast from you, is it?
Yeah, exactly. And my dad, he became a motorbike racer and used to race sidecars. Was British and world champion at one point. He did trial bike racing, which is motorbikes where you go over really technical courses, and it's timed, and every time you put your foot down you get a time penalty. So he's an incredibly talented guy. Raced the Isle of Man. He raced
the bikes? Oh wow! Yeah, no, the trial bikes, are those the ones where there's not really a seat, so you're balancing the whole time, and you go up these
and
crazy
down that where there would be that's it.
That's awesome.
And he was a very incredibly talented racer, and he raced until he was mid-40s, I think.
It's solid, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he started when he was 16, so it's really good. And he was racing competitively at a pretty high level until his mid-40s. And the only reason he stopped was he had a very, very, very bad accident. And that was a big reset button for a lot of my morals and attitude and meaning for everything. And was something that affected me greatly as a kid. I was a teenager. I was doing, what was I doing? Was I doing GCSEs or A levels? I think I was doing A levels at that time, and it might have been GCSEs. I can't really remember, to be honest. But I had to like continually like resit exams and stuff like that, or do exams at different times because of having to go to see him in hospital. He was in intensive care in a hospital in Liverpool. And in a coma. So when you're a young adult, because you are a young adult when you're a teenager, when you're a young adult, watching someone who you admire, like your father, in that kind of situation, really resets your moral gauge and your moral status and your understanding of what really is right and wrong and what you should and shouldn't be doing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It was for me anyway. And so I'm a huge believer in like pushing myself to be able to try and do something good for others who, whether it's they can't do it themselves or, whether it's, something that inspires people to try and do something, like whatever, as long as someone gets something positive out of me, like pushing myself, that's a win for me. Even if I don't succeed in the things I'm trying to do, it doesn't really matter as long as someone gets something out of it. The moment that one of these projects becomes a success is when you know that it's helped someone.
Yeah,
and that's it. And like the trenching challenge from Box Hill, that got such a positive response, like internationally. And I was like, and that challenge, that was really hard. That was really, really hard. And it was hard because of the time of year, the weather, dark, cold, wet, sleet, snow, ice. Like it was horrible. And my body about 6 o'clock in the morning was literally shutting down. Like, and I hadn't finished. And I was just like, I'm gonna have to stop for like 10 minutes here. Turned out to be like 2 hours. So I think it's about 2 hours. I was like, I had to stop for a bit and just have a little snooze and just like reset and then go again. And it was never about doing it as quick as possible. It's about doing it. And that's kind of what it is for me. It's like, it's about doing it. And it's the process of doing these things and hoping to inspire and encourage other people.
You definitely do that, man. You definitely do that. And I don't know if I said it to you directly or not, but like there's a lot that I take inspiration from you on. Like, where do I even start? Like with Ride for Unity, we spoke in August, and then I think it was in October, I started the charity partnership with Laureus, with a very similar sort of thought in mind, like just can I do something with this sport to do some good for other people, like you did, and we're doing with Pace and for other charities as well. And similarly with the clothing line as well, like a percentage of the profits of the Ride for Unity clothes goes to charity. And it's just amazing, like the way you've brought people together. Like there's not anyone that I talk to that doesn't rate you, because it's not about, I don't know, like self-promotion or, look at me, how great am I? But it's all about, I don't know, like properly putting your body on the line to help other people and raise phenomenal amounts of money. And it's honestly been a massive, massive inspiration for me in what I've been doing. And the podcast that you do, like basically, if you do something, 3 months down the line, I'll be trying to do it because it's cool.
I mean, I just want your jumper. I've just realized, man. Yeah, it's freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's Iron Man. Yeah, we can trade Iron Man for ideas anytime.
I can do that. I'd like to be Iron Man, to be honest. I feel like I need a bit of with my body to make it hold up. I'm struggling with a back issue again, as usual.
Oh no. Was this post the Atlas Mountains? Is it still like a bit messed up or?
Yeah, it's a lot better than it was, but every now and then it flares up, and it flared up this evening. So I know exactly what did it. It was me sitting on the floor, sorting out 35 things to post, sitting on the
Yeah.
floor, like hunched over, laptop, packing stuff up. Next one,
Yeah.
next one. That's all it was. But yeah, let's talk about Ride for Unity, because we first talked about this like last summer really,
Yeah.
and it was quite a new thing then, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. So I think, yeah, look, like, thank you for saying yes to chatting to me. But I started it in June
Yeah.
last year, and the backstory to it was in May when George Floyd died.
Mm.
That weekend after, like, I went out riding. I locked down, so I was doing a solo ride on my own. And ordinarily, like, I go out, take pictures, and do all this stuff, and I just couldn't clear my head. And at that point, it was that turning point. I was like, I want to do something. I want to do something to bring people together and try and celebrate the unity that we have as people, but as cyclists. And I thought, right, let me try and showcase the diversity that we've got in the community. And Ride for Unity was born. That's how it sort of started, really. And as you know, like, part of it is just talking to a diverse spectrum of cyclists, from the recreational to the endurance riders like your good self, to the professionals like Rory Townsend we talked to, and just helping share their stories with as wide an audience as I can, just so that through people seeing someone that may look a bit like them or they could relate to on some level, people will be encouraged to get involved in cycling, pushing themselves a bit further, and doing a bit more with it. So that's a bit about the backstory to Ride for Unity, really.
Mm. And you, as you say, it was the incident with George Floyd was kind of a bit of a catalyst for it, and and the stuff that's coming out at the moment in the States as well.
No.
It's really, like, I have to say this as a white male who I can't fully understand it all, because I have never.
No.
I'm being a white male. I come from, without even trying, I'm privileged.
Yeah.
Incredibly frustratingly so. But hearing how it has affected, it's affected me greatly, because I think any loss of life is horrible. Full stop.
Yeah.
The situation of how it happened is disgusting.
Yeah.
The fact that it's involving, a police force who are there to support the community and help the community, and there's that horrible level of distrust and discord and tension. And I've been really intentionally trying to understand and read and kind of get my head around it as much as I can, because it's hard, as I say, it's hard for me as a 30-something white male, and unfortunately that's something which that's how I'm born like that. And hearing how it's affected yourself and several other people that I've spoken to, and when I studied architecture, my course leader, Leighton, who I will definitely do a podcast with at some time, I have hesitated to do it because I know he's going to embarrass me so much. And he's like a mentor to me. He has been a mentor to me for a long time, and he was my course leader when I studied architecture. And he's an older chap, and he was, when he kind of graduated from architecture school, one of the first black architects in the UK. And architecture is an unbelievably racist industry, unbelievably sexist industry, really backwards. And I was told a lot about that side of it through him. He taught me a lot about it. And I went to an architecture school which prided itself on diversity. It was one of the most important things to that school. And it wasn't, like the same, I think my class was 50 students. And I think of us who were like white British or white, United Kingdomish, whatever you want to say, of us that were like a white British background was of that 50 was maybe 8. Pretty small, and that it was incredible because we'd go to where did I go? Like places I went to: Bulgaria, Spain, North Africa, Switzerland, Singapore, Hong Kong. Like on these trips with my peers, and got a background of what the culture was like. Eastern places in Eastern Europe as well. Like, and it really opened my eyes up to it. And I will always say that I'm always going to be someone that is learning and trying to understand the best I can.
Yeah, that's what you can do, Chris, to be honest with you, because I think it's tricky because I feel that most folks will have a different perspective or different levels of privilege. Like, I don't live in America, thankfully, at the moment. I love going to the country and don't know if I'd want to go right now, but as a guy that's over here, I think the thing that got me about George Floyd, because you'll hear people say like, oh, it's over there, why are you bothered? Like, why does it even affect you? But I think for me, the bit I connected to with it was when I saw a picture of him with his daughter. And we talked about the kids at the beginning, like that look. It's just a picture, but the look that he had with her, like, got me from as a dad. Like, not that he's black, it's that a dad would love their kids so unconditionally. And then I was like, what now is society going to say to his daughter that your first protector, your superhero, like you talked about your dad, the way we see our parents, like they're no longer there. And the reason they've gone is because those that are supposed to be serving and protecting or all of society haven't really done that. In fact, they've caused his death. So that's what got me. But, on the privilege front, I feel it too, because I have these conversations with my wife where she just enlightens me because I have my own view, my perspective. Like, for example, like, I don't run lots. I prefer to cycle by far. But if I wanted to run just to clear my head for like half an hour and it was like 9 o'clock at night, 9:30, 10 o'clock, whatever, I would think nothing of it. Like, go out, 6 foot, whatever, black guy. Like, I'm not fearful of anything. Whereas when my wife talks about going running, and she says she's thinking about going in the evening, my heart just starts to race, and I just start to say, like, look, just, and then that makes me become aware of we're two people, equals, but actually what I can do and what she can do and what I have to think about and what she thinks about are completely different things. So it's tricky, isn't it? Just trying to put yourself in someone else's shoes when you've never had to live that, because you and I, biggest strapping lads, there's certain things that just don't come our way,
Yeah, I had the same conversation about that with my partner as well. Like, she runs quite a lot, and she was saying to me when this young lady passed away recently in London,
Sarah Everard.
Yeah, when she was taken recently, that really got to my partner, and we talked about it. We were talking about it while we were driving up here, while we were moving up, and because I said to her, like, I same as what I said to you, I'm going to put it out there. I said to her, I was like, I'm a 30-year-old, 5'11". I'm not quite 6 foot, close.
With the heels.
6'3" with the heels. I wear big heels. 5'11", 80 kilos, tattooed, beard, really long hair at the moment. I don't think twice about going out in the evening. I don't think about it. And also, like, if I was to go for a run, which is like once a year, to be honest, because I hate running, I wouldn't think anything of it. I'd be like, I'm gonna go for a run. I'm just gonna go. In contrast, like, my partner Fee was saying to me, she said, when I go for a run, I guarantee that there'll be some comment every single time. And I instantly, that hit me, and I was like, that's another example of privilege. And that is something which you and I, the only way we can understand that is trying to put ourselves in that person's shoes as best as possible. And then trying to understand how you would feel in that situation.
Yeah,
and it's very hard to do, and it's something. What one of the great positives of everything that's going on at the moment is that these discussions like you and I are having that it's happening. People are talking
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it. That's
definitely.
positive. That's massively a positive. But there's so much more to do. There's so much more learning and education that everyone can do. And it's, you just have to go out there and with your eyes wide open and absorb everything like a sponge.
Mm.
And
You're right, man. You're right. And I feel there are sort of a couple of streams with it. I think there's a willingness piece where, someone has to be willing to want to open their heart and their mind. And then there's sometimes I feel there's a capacity thing as well, because like when it first kicked off, like you all have found me on forums where people were just saying what I consider to be nonsense. And I was just trying to argue with folks, and I was just driving myself to ruin thinking like, how can, someone says Black Lives Matter and then you're saying like Blue Lives Matter or All Lives Matter. And I'm like, you're just completely negating this moment in time, what it is. And I realized that actually there's a bit of a capacity thing here where sometimes it's a bit like trying to teach algebra to like toddlers where they're just not there yet. So now I just stopped. I stopped doing it. And I just thought, actually, do you know what? I'm just going to focus on doing the positive that I can do. And whoever wants to be part of it, or who's already part of it and just wants to join the tribe, and let's move on. Because like I said, there's a willingness piece, and then there's also a capacity piece. And you can't, convince everybody of what you think is the right way to think,
completely. And, the more people that start to be willing and understand, the further and the better it will get, because more people will just instinctively, it will like tumbleweed, it will grow and grow and grow. And what you're doing with Ride for Unity is something that is very much doing that. It's growing and slowly getting bigger and bigger. It's really, as you say, you're an incredibly positive person, and it comes through with everything you do. And it's just really lovely to see.
Cheers, man.
When you talk to people on your, your Instagram lives and stuff, it's just really, it's nice. It's just really nice. It's really like, friendly and
like I
chatty.
said, like I said, I appreciate that, but I think it's about celebration. The last year and a bit hasn't given us a huge amount to celebrate. You can find joy in the small things for sure, but there's much in life to be grateful for and to celebrate. And I think that's what I try to do. Really just find the magic and see the good in people, and let's enjoy that, because there's a ton of stuff that's going to drag you down anyway. So, why not? If we're not here for a long time, let's be here for a good time, isn't it? That's
exactly. I like that. That's a really good phrase. It's like, it is, there's I think like I was definitely someone that would get bogged down on stuff quite a lot. And I'm someone that 100% in the past. And every now and then I have my wobbles, but in the past I really struggled with depression. And I think for me, what worked is I just flipped my career around. I quit architecture and I, changed everything around and changed myself as best and positive way as I could, and made a real point of trying to, do what I could and be positive and have a positive outlook on everything I can. And when you get more positive people together, it makes a nicer atmosphere as well. And I found, being in, I think the cycling community is generally full of a lot of very positive people. There's a lot of people with a lot of love to give. And that's not just in London, that's internationally. Everywhere I've been lucky to ride, you meet incredible people, and you make friends for life after. And that's what's so nice about cycling. You can ride with someone for, an hour or whatever, and you share so much over that time. Because when you're riding a bike, I always think about it, you're riding like fast enough that you can see a lot, but you're going slow enough that you can absorb it. And what I mean is when you're in a car, you're going so fast and you're in a box and you don't really know what's going on. But when you're on a bike, you've got the wind blowing at you, the rain, most likely if you're in England. You've got, the sun on your hands or in your arms. You're really engaging all your senses when you're cycling. And same when you're running. But the difference is when you're running, it's hard to talk. You can
It is
chat.
hard to talk about. Like literally, I take like 5 steps and my heart is like pounding out my chest, saying, "What the hell are you doing? Like you crazy fool!" So yeah, no, I feel you. I feel you. And like I did when I did this video recently with Specialized for the Athos
Hmm.
second chapter, and
Beautiful
it's
video.
something that, oh, thank you, man. Thank you. I mean, yeah, got a shout out to Angus actually. Angus Sung, who did the video, because he is a genius, really. But it was something I talked about in there that, like, I feel like if you were to take your bike anywhere in the world, like just the fact that you ride a bike, you'd meet other people that have bikes, and that you can connect on that level.
Yeah.
And that's what Ride for Unity for me has been about, because it actually doesn't matter, like sex, shade, sexual orientation, what shape you are, none of that matters. Like if you like bikes, I like bikes, and you're just mates, like straight. Like I think, you and I, like the very first conversation we had, I was like, I feel like I've known you forever. And we were like gassing away about all sorts of stuff, about the Attacus crew, like Jimmy and Emily,
Yeah.
and just all things just weird and wonderful and random. And it's because of two wheels, right? And a drivetrain. And it's an amazing thing. And that's why I think if we could get that message spread far and wide, it can't help but help the planet generally, really. So that's my mission, really, just to spread the good word.
So you've done these chats. You've done them with people all around the world, haven't you?
Yeah, I've tried to, because like it's like I had the vision that it should be like a global family, like we are. Like, like I care what happens in America, I care what happens in Myanmar, I care what happens, wherever in the world it happens, because it's like humanity. So yeah, I've talked to people in Kenya, Iman Kagumba. I talked to a chap in South Africa, to Sheila Munyai. Over in the States, talked to a few folks over there. Christopher Strickland, Cree Dub, is become a really good friend, similar to you, really, like really inspirational, because he's got lots that he's doing with the bike and just general advocacy. But yeah, I do try and connect with people all around the world, because, like as I say, it's a family, and the representation piece is like super important to me. Like I just want, by hook or by crook, by the time I'm done, like to have covered every different type of person, so that everyone can feel pride in hearing the story of you or Abby Dentis or Alison Wood or Viola Babawad, whoever it is, and be like, oh my God, cycling is so for me, because look, there's someone a bit like me that does it and is killing it, or just does it recreationally. So why not start myself, or do it a bit more if I want to?
Yeah, it's all about encouraging, and as you say, removing any barriers to something that might, deter you. Like if you are concerned about how you look or anything like that. I saw
Yeah.
that. I don't know if you saw it. Shimano did a really good video with two women or a couple of women recently. It's on their social media, and it's talking about they're a group of women who are larger women, and they're talking
Yeah.
about they love going and riding basically, and
I think I saw. I think
it's
because I
really
think you may have reshared that.
yeah, it's just
Was
really
it?
mountain
Yeah.
bikers, they're mountain biking
Yeah.
and
I
mountain
think I saw
biking
that one.
travel packing sort of stuff. It's just really nice, and to see a brand like that do that, it's
Mm.
great. And
Yeah.
I work with Shimano, and I know they are a very cautious brand about what they do.
Yeah.
It's purely because they're Japanese. It's the
Yeah.
nature of a company like that that's it's 100 years old this year,
Yeah.
and they're very cautious and very reserved. And for them to have done something like that that's a pretty big deal for them. Like,
Yeah.
and it was lovely to see. SRAM equally do a lot of stuff about sort of diversity, which is great. And I think a lot
Yeah.
of brands are really sort of starting to get on board with that.
Definitely. And that's why I'm heartened by it, because I suppose one of the things that I hadn't really felt that I saw a lot of when I looked across like the major cycling corporations was that representation of diversity in all its forms, not just like black guys like myself, but like size, the gender piece as well, because it just wasn't there so much. And I feel like a lot of brands have tried to step up and just appeal more to broader audiences and show that it's for you, because it's part of it, isn't it? It's like if you see people doing cool stuff, advertised, then you might be like, oh, well, maybe I could try that. Maybe this is appealing to me, and maybe I should maybe spend some money buying that stuff and getting out on my bike, because not everyone looks the same and it's not a homogenous thing, right? So yeah, it's good to see brands doing more stuff. I'm really heartened by that.
I saw something really funny the other day on, I can't even think where it was, but it was talking about this culture of like women's image in the media, a female media. And the reference was, it was talking about anorexia as part of it. And what they was, it was like a woman who was kind of taking the piss, but actually it was quite serious. It was quite funny, but basically she's talking about like people of my age, women of my age, how their role models would be like, or who they were told to be their role models would have been, you know, like pop stars who have tiny waists, tiny hips. The thing that was in fashion was low hip jeans were in fashion. So loads of women were like starving themselves to make sure they had a slim stomach so they could pull off like low slung jeans. And this woman's going, you sort of talking about the younger generation. She's like, you guys don't know anything. You get to wear high-waisted jeans that hide it all. The reason why my generation, everyone was anorexic is because we had to have our fucking stomachs on show and all this. And I was just like, says a lot. It does say a lot. Yeah. Like the media plays a massive part of it. And, you know, the newspapers and the trash magazines that are slowly dying out, thankfully, seem to be at last realizing that kind of like calling out a celebrity, for example, going, oh, don't they look bad on their beach body and all that, is really really bad.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff that comes through that, like some liberal messaging that people get off that, which it's not helpful, you know, for like this healthy body image and perceptions generally. So good if it can change.
Yeah, I mean, you know, cycling is as a sport, if you have not at some point had an unhealthy relationship with food, you haven't done cycling. I say that in a jokey context. I was having a conversation with someone yesterday and we were talking about power to weight. He's an incredibly good bike rider in Canada, older chap who I do a lot of work with. And I don't want to name him because I think he'd be really uncomfortable about the discussion being discussed. Basically, we were talking about power to weight and that kind of thing. And I was talking to him like about my weight and how from being incredibly overweight to where I'm at now. And then when I was like, probably had a bit of an unhealthy relationship with food and probably lost a bit too much weight, and to kind of how I am about now. And also how that related to how my power on the bike translated. And he jokingly said to me, oh, if you haven't had an unhealthy relationship with food, have you really committed to cycling? And when he said that, I laughed and I was like, do you know what? The sad thing is you're right, that so many cyclists do have a really unhealthy relationship with food. And that comes down to the image of what we see cyclists are in the press. And unfortunately, part of that is out of our control because pro cyclists are very, very lean, but they're paid to be very, very lean. Like, they've got the best nutritionists, they've got the best sports scientists around them to allow them to maximize that kind of thing. And also they don't sustain that they sustain it for a race. They don't stay like that all the time. Like the guys that do the Tour de France get to that race weight for the Tour de France, and they're like 5 kilos heavier before it, you know. We were chatting about it, and the unfortunate thing is that the people that win the races are often the guys that are, the stages that everyone thinks about, mountain stages, and the ones that win the mountain stages is your Chris Froomes. Chris Froome he's incredibly lean, but he's also incredibly tall and has incredibly long limbs, and that probably makes him look even more lean, but his actual physique is tall and slim.
Yeah.
And one of the things I do like about cycling, especially the stuff I do, the more endurance stuff, is that anyone can do it. Really, like the diversity in size, height, color, sex. It's kind of a level playing field. Like it doesn't really matter, and that's what I really like. You see women like Leah Wilcox smashing ultra distance races and like winning them, or and we've seen it in the last transcontinental that happened, which was what 2 years ago now. We've seen it in various different races where it just becomes distance becomes a level playing field. It levels
Yeah.
everyone out. Like certain people will be stronger at certain bits than others, but that's what makes it for me. What makes it exciting? Like
Yeah.
you can fairly compete with anyone, and it's great.
That's what. Well, that's what I love about that what you do, and also just generally about cycling. Because I think for a lot of us, we already get the diversity thing, because there's like the BMX bit, there's the mountain biking, there's the gravel, there's the fixie scene, there's the enduro stuff. Then there's like the crits. There's so much to it, all on bicycles,
Yeah,
but so different, right? And yeah, I think you're right. So I think I was listening to one of your podcasts the other day with, is it Matt Falconer?
yeah.
Yeah, my God, what a guy. And yeah, I was just cracking up about how he was telling the story about how he got on a mountain bike on a stag do. From there, he was like, right, I need to sort this out because he couldn't cycle for obvious reasons. But yeah, it's great. Like everyday people can put their minds to something and then suddenly, not suddenly, but I guess over time with consistency, which is something you and I have talked about in the past, take themselves to places that others would be like, wow, like how the hell, how do you do that? Like 700 kilometers in 30 hours, you crazy man.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how I do that if I can do it. We'll find out.
You can, man, you
I've
can.
ridden. I have done further in less time. I did 506 miles, which I think is 823 kilometers in 24 hours. That's the furthest I've gone.
What was that?
National 24.
Madness.
Yeah.
And because obviously you need to eat, right? So like, how are you eating?
So I was eating on the bike the whole time, basically. So
Really?
yeah, it was like every 4 hours I had enough like gels and like food on me in my pockets
Yeah.
for 4 hours and drink as well for 4 hours. And then at the end of that 4 hours, I'd stop and refill all my pockets, refill the water bottles, and eat something a bit more substantial while it was being done, and then go again. So I think my total stoppage time over the 24 hours was like 13 minutes. Oh no, maybe not 30, maybe 17. It was under 20 minutes basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was very, very, very hard. Very hard. I didn't win. I came eighth.
Top
So
10 though, man. That's all right. That's what. But were you hoping to maybe win it?
no, I wasn't. I didn't think I'd win it at all. So I've come top 10 every year I've done it. So
That's brilliant. What an achievement.
but I've been the youngest in the top 10 by about 6 or 7 years. So that's like quite a nice little claim to fame.
Yeah, so you've still got there's still some room on that runway, right?
Mate, the guys that win that race are 45. I've got, how many years have I got? 14 years to get to 45.
Nice, nice.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like, so I've definitely got I know what it feels like to do that kind of distance over a short period of time, but I haven't done that since 2019. So equal
Because a lot of stuff's been on pause, right? A lot of stuff's been on pause.
tons has been on pause, and the whole, as much as a hard and tricky situation COVID has been, and it has been horrible. Like we lost a family friend. My cousin's a doctor. My aunt is a nurse, and I've seen from them a lot of stress. and I've got other friends who are doctors and nurses and ambulance drivers who had to sort of to deal with the situation as well. But so if I think a bit like selfishly on my side, like I think I had 6 races cancelled last year, and
It's a lot. Yeah.
which is a lot. And I mean, luckily they are rescheduled and the entry just transfers over. But it's meant that I've got a very busy year this year later on. But
Yeah.
it's what it is.
So,
It's what it is. It's
yeah.
fine.
Yeah. No, because I remember you talking to Matt about this, and I think you were saying that you couldn't do a race because I think it's the Atlas Mountains race that you couldn't do because it's on the same, it's across the same period as, I don't know if it was a transcontinental or Trans-Pyrenees. I'm not Trans-Pyrenees, right? Yeah, that you were talking about there.
Yeah,
So,
so I'd entered to go back to the Atlas Mountain race, and it would have originally been. So actually, this roll back, roll back to 2020. Atlas Mountain race was February 2020. Trans Pyrenees was due to be September 2020. I did the Atlas Mountains in February 2020 before lockdown and everything happened. And then Trans Pyrenees, basically, they made the call to move the race to 2021, September 2021, in last summer, in like July, I think they did, which was the right decision to do. So I was like, cool. And they were like, you can otherwise have a refund or you can transfer your entry across. I was like, cool, transfer my entry across. I'll do it in 2021. Perfect. So then Atlas Mountains entry, to enter Atlas Mountains, you apply to enter it, I think, in October, roughly, October 2020 to race in 2021. So I applied to enter in October 2020 to race it in what was planned to be February 2021. Nelson, who's the organizer of that race, made the call to reschedule Atlas Mountains from February to September because of COVID. And he made that call, I think, in December, which was 100% right decision to do. Yeah. And it just so happened that the dates that he moved it on are the dates that the Trans Pyrenees had moved their race to, basically. So I had to transfer my entry then to Atlas Mountains to 2022, which will be February 2022, because they're aiming to have it in February again. So it's all really confusing. But I mean, having a race like that in the calendar for February is great because it's like motivation through the winter to have something to train for.
Just keep you going, really. Keep you going.
And I've definitely struggled with that over the last year, is having motivation to train and do stuff, because for me, the races are really good because you don't have to really think about it. You just turn up and do them, and they're in amazing places. And also, I don't, to be honest, a lot of the time I don't enjoy them. I more do them because it's like a credibility thing. There's some some people, I'm not saying everyone, but some people don't really take you seriously unless you do these kind of races. And it kind of bugs me. So I just do the races to tick it off, to say I've done, been involved, done one, competed in it, finished it, not finished it, doesn't matter. But to say I've been on the start list is kind of good enough for me. I'm way more interested in doing the challenges that I create. And quite often they're harder than the races, in all honesty. But I'm way more interested in that because there's more good that comes out of it, quite frankly.
Ton of stuff, man. Like, honestly, that 107 TDF, like, mind blown. And the Box Hill one, again, mind blown. It's, a real feat. Honestly, it's got me thinking, like, why not? It's just planning and dedication. And I think what you said before, like, some of them are like a bit of an eating contest, just to keep enough fuel in the system to keep going. But you for me show what's the art of the possible. I think I said it to you before. It's like, you could do whatever you put your mind to, and if you plan it and you commit, really.
Exactly. It's not, and the big thing with any of these kind of things is just start small, you know.
Yeah.
If you want to start bike packing, for example, just go ride to your mate's house and camp in the garden. That's what I did. Rode to one of my mates and camped in the garden because I'd never done it before. I was like, I don't know if I like it. I don't know if you know, I might just really not like it. I might have a terrible night's sleep. I might feel really uncomfortable about it. But to be honest, normally in those kind of races where you are bike packing, you're so knackered, you're asleep in about 10 seconds. But, you know, when I started, I was like, I feel a bit uncomfortable about this. So I'm just going to ride to mates and camp in the garden. It's no harm in that.
Baby steps. Slowly. Yeah, you got to start. That's it. Yeah. Definitely.
So, Ride for Unity, you've done a kit collaboration with DHB.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's still available, isn't it?
Yeah. So that launched in December, actually, and they've just recently got a new website. Their own website, because before you could get the stuff, but it was through Wiggle, but they've now got dhbsport.com, and we've got our own Ride for Unity section in the collaborations bit, which is pretty like rad. And cool. Yeah, you can get cycling clothing. We've got road jerseys, short sleeve and long sleeves for men and women, and then we've got t-shirts as well, and socks. And the plan is, you know, it's a proof of concept. If it continues to do well, then there'll be other lines that come to the fore, really. But the great thing about it, and thanks for mentioning it, is really that like 20% of everything you buy, like the value of it, goes towards Laureus Sport for Good Foundation, which has how many? It had 200 programs in like 40 different countries, like helping like young people and kids who were facing violence and discrimination and stuff. So all back to like, you know, the global family, like looking after each other and all that sort of stuff. So you get to look good, feel good, and do good. That's my pitch, Chris. How's it sound?
It's good. It's really good.
Yeah.
What? Who designed it?
It was a collaboration, actually. So I would love to take full credit for it, but I cannot. So I had some creative input into it. Like, I don't know, what's that guy's name? Is it Virgil Abloh?
Yeah.
But yeah, I had some ideas, and then they basically just made them like far better. And then we had like, I think like 4 or 5 different versions we could choose from.
Yeah, nice.
And then I sort of decided with them that this was it, you know, because we wanted the logo to be as it is, you know, as you see in all our other branding, and the sort of blend that you see with the colours and stuff like that. It was just, awesome. I was really pleased with it.
It's really smart. If I'll put a link in the description to it, so if anyone wants to get some nice swanky kit, and as you say, look good, feel good, do good.
Look good, feel good, do good. Yeah, definitely.
You can do that, and
you could do that. Yeah, and I got a shout out. So Tom, good friend of mine, Tom Webb, he's the head designer over there. He involved. Danielle massively helped. Rob, I've got a shout out, and Tara and Faith and everyone over there who helped, because it's not like by myself. Like, I literally didn't do it by myself. And like the logo, has a shout out to Luke James from the Bread Collective, because he came up with the logo. Like, when I was like, this is what I want to do, he's like, okay, and he just made the vision come to life. And I was like, that is so brilliant. I couldn't have done it by myself. So shout out to all those amazing people, really.
It's helpful having friends in useful places sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
It's all swings and roundabouts. Like, everything comes back. Like, you know, I'm a big believer, like, you help someone, they help you, it all swings around. And
yeah,
it's like the same, like, on a very different context, like with buying stuff for the new house. It's like, me and my partner, she's like, oh, what do I owe for it? I'm like, no, don't worry. Like, it all comes around. There'll be sometimes something you end up buying, or it'll be, you know, it all comes around to full circle at some point. Yeah. It's fine. That's the way the world works. The world is
definitely.
It's not flat. Definitely. It's not flat. None of that flat rubbish. But it is a sphere, and so everything in the world also goes around like that as well, in my opinion.
Definitely believe it. It's, like I talked about karma with you before, and I think that's one of the things that I do believe in. And yeah, it's a bit random, but like, from a religious perspective, like I am religious, but I feel like if you take like the 10 Commandments as like a bit of a blueprint for life, then you can't go too far wrong. Like, don't kill anybody, steal anyone's stuff, and all the other good things that are in there. I need 8 more. But yeah.
But that's the same thing as what I was saying about having, good morals. Like,
Yeah.
good morals, quite frankly, are very, very similar to what the 10 Commandments are.
Yeah.
Like, as the pure reason why I don't think I'm a religious person is my parents weren't religious, and so it was like, it wasn't a thing for us. My grandparents were a little bit religious, but it was more like, oh, we'll go to church every now and then when we feel like it. If it's not raining, we might go. Or we'll go to the Christmas one so we can get the orange with the sweets in it, that kind of thing.
Nice. Yeah, whatever works, man. Whatever works.
Yeah,
really, isn't it?
And as I say, like, for me, it was all, I think like the morals that were instilled in me as a kid, they're probably very, very similar to the 10 Commandments. And that's because, to be very honest, it should be common sense to most people.
Should be.
It should be. And, I feel like as I'm not necessarily a traditional religious person, I probably am religious in some ways of being slightly spiritual. And that goes into what I was saying about there being some form of a greater power. I don't know what it is. I don't know what I think it is or believe it is, but something that forces certain things to happen in certain ways and guides that moral of what's right and what's wrong.
Definitely.
It might just be a giant block of cheese floating in the sky.
It could be, right? But I don't know, like, when, so I've felt it sometimes, like when I've ridden, I'm fortunate to travel abroad and ride like crazy mountains and stuff, like you can't help but like wonder like how we got to be here, and you feel it. When you were describing cycling earlier on about the wind in your hair and feeling the sun on you, and being in nature in that way, like, I don't know, I can't help but feel connected to like something, some spiritual source. And I don't know, I'm exactly like you. I was raised a Catholic, so that's what I'm down for. But it depends on what you're raised and brought up to believe, really, isn't it?
It really does. Do you know when I was in Kyrgyzstan, and it was Kyrgyzstan, and there's the first big mountain that I went up was called Keketi Pass, and that was a point where I remember standing at the top. It was like 4,000 meters above sea level, so really high, and I felt about this big, and it was one of those moments where I thought, there's something else going on, because
there's something going on, right?
Right now, I feel like an ant looking at what I'm looking at and seeing what's around me, and
that's epic, man. That's epic.
I took some photos, and the photos do not do justice to the photos that are in my mind. They just don't do justice. But that's part of it. Anyway, I wanted to, I know I did pre-warn you, and I also am aware that it is starting to get late, because we were conscious on your kids' bedtime, of course. And I always like to try and like sum up podcasts, because I get told off when I don't do it, asking for 5 tips. And I did pre-warn you.
Yeah.
But you're looking like I didn't pre-warn you. I definitely
No, you did. You did. And the funny thing is, because you did a podcast with Calvin Chung.
Yeah.
And I just was laughing my head off, because Calvin was like also doing amazing stuff on the bike, with the bike, but just laughing my head off because he couldn't think of any. I was like, I must not fall down that trap. And like the minute you just said it, I'm like, oh crap.
The reason why it's 5 is because I think 3 is quite easy.
Okay.
And the fourth one is normally pretty good, and the 5th one's normally pretty good.
Okay.
Because they're the ones that it's normally, the first 3 are like, oh yeah, it's kind of done. And then the 4th one, normally people are like, oh man, what about this? They're thinking about it. And then you get that weird like eureka moment. But also equally, I don't pre-warn everyone, so I pre-warn you because I like you,
Thank you.
and the still the I don't always pre-warn people because I think it's quite funny sometimes.
Yeah,
But equally,
it was funny.
I didn't pre-warn you about anything we were going to talk about today because I don't like scripting podcasts. I like them just.
No, like let it flow, right? Let it flow. It's good that you've done that. Okay, so 5 things. I think so this is like just tips, like general
Whatever you want.
whatever.
It's up to you. Makes it hard, right?
Yeah,
sometimes people have gone down the cycling tip route. Sometimes they've gone
yeah.
down cooking, like moral life tips. Like it can literally be whatever you fancy.
Okay, cool. Okay, it's going to be a mishmash because that's like all my memories have gone. But I think my first one would be like, and especially relevant for the current year or the year that we just had, would be something that I think it was Jen George, Scottish cyclist. She rides for Memorial Santos. I talked to her and she mentioned this, and it was like find the joy in the small things.
Yeah.
And really try and celebrate the little wins that you have along the way, because I think when she was talking to me about training and going for races and all this stuff, and it's the big event at the end that you're really going for, but along the way there can be like little milestones like PBs that you set and all that stuff, and try and enjoy those. And ever since she said that to me, I've kind of that stuck with me, and I've just tried to do it in everyday life, like just the small things, going for walks, going to parks, seeing nature, getting my camera out and just getting to the smallest flowers and just appreciating all that, because it makes life more joyous. So that would be my first one.
That's a good one, that.
Second one, I think it comes back to something you and I were talking about with regards to like privilege and stuff like that. And I think something I really try hard to do is try to understand more than I try to be understood, because I get me, like I know what's in my head, I know my upbringing, I know all of that stuff, but what I don't know and where I have like massive blind spots is, for example, what it's like to be a woman or transgender person, or like a white guy or a white woman, or like I don't know that. So like great to try and understand that, because I think once you understand where someone else is coming from, like the empathy and everything else can flow, and communication can get better, and we can come together. So that would be my second one.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good one. That's one that I think a lot of people can learn from as well.
Cool. The third one, I have to say, it relates to this chat now. It's basically over the last year and a bit, I've just said yes more. So if someone says, hey, do you want to do this? Or do you want to go here? Or, not so much go here because we can't fly anywhere, but do you want to do something different that's going to challenge you in different ways? I'm just trying to say yes more.
Okay, I'm going to tap on at you then. When are you going to come up here and ride up a big hill with me?
Look, dude, I've seen the elevations on your stuff. Yeah, it's not. But like, I have put myself out there as a bit of a mountain goat, so I'm definitely down. If you're inviting me, especially as you've got space, I won't bike pack. I'm coming in summertime, because we can do right from the summer, right?
And I will have a sofa then, so you're welcome. Bring the family.
Nice.
As well. The family want to
nice.
Come for a little holiday.
Oh, thank you. They'll come. I tell them we're going to see Uncle Chris, the crazy cycling guy. They'll be all over it.
Oh, yeah. Tell them that.
That'd be good. So, yeah, no, I think, on that, definitely taking you up on that. And thank you. But I think the growth comes from when you're uncomfortable, like just be uncomfortable and just do it anyway, because then hook or by crook, you'll find a way. So that's my third one. Fourth is probably just trying to keep things in perspective. Like, I know we've chatted about mental health and stuff like that, and I think like it is so tough sometimes just to keep things in check. And I've like recently had like quite a big wobble with just life in general, and work and lockdown and homeschool oversight and all of that stuff. And actually what's kind of helped me is obviously support network, but just trying to keep things in perspective, because it's going to pass, it's not forever. And if you can hold on to that, then hopefully you can see your way through to brighter times. A bit like riding a bike, isn't it? You go uphill and then you come downhill. So, all good.
Yeah, and trust me, the hills which you go up around here, they're not pretty.
No.
I mean, it's beautiful scenery, but you're staring at your handlebars, you're not looking at the scenery.
No, man, the pictures look incredible though. Like you've got some super sunny days with the cobbled walls, and I've just seen some sites that, yeah, you've made a good call. Gutted because like obviously you're not so close anymore, but yeah, you've made a totally awesome call to mix up and just live differently, really. Live differently.
Exactly. Yeah, you'll love the riding around here.
No, I'm
You'll
down.
really love it. You'll really love
down.
it.
I did do a little calculation actually, and it said it would take me 16 hours on my bike to get there. Probably on your terms, 10 hours, but yeah, 16 hours to ride up to where you are. So yeah, because you're like Peak District, like close to there. Right?
So I'm southwest of the peaks.
Yeah, looks lush, man.
Close. I mean, it's a town called Leek.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so yeah, southwest of the peaks. It's 5 kilometers into the Peak District from my front door, if that.
Love that. Love
that. And you're in the countryside within 3k.
Yeah.
5 kilometers.
I'm a bit scared.
The boundary line.
Yeah, I'm a bit scared because I reckon I'll come up and I'll love it, and I'll be like, "Wifey, look at all this space you can have. Look
how much.
Go riding with Chris.
Look how much you can get for your money. That's the thing, honestly.
Damn. Yeah, hopefully my mum doesn't listen to this because she moved a few years ago to live around the corner from where we are. So she'd be like, "What? You're going anywhere?" But yeah, have I got one more to go?
I think you got 2 more.
No.
Okay.
So I've done 4.
Okay, you got 1 more. Go on.
Yeah, 5th one would be my fave. Would be my fave thing. With Ride for Unity, with everything. What I say to people motivates me is just the idea that you just start where you are, use what you have, and just do what you can. And that's not my words. Those aren't my words at all. I borrowed those from a tennis player called Arthur Ashe. And I think that resonates massively with me because, we're not in competition with anybody else. Like it's what you've got, the skills and the magic that you bring to the table is going to be completely different to someone else. Yeah. So wherever you are, utilize your magic to get you to where you want to be. But just start. Like once you get on the road, it kind of just becomes a bit like a dynamo or a sort of a kinetic wheel of some sort that just picks up momentum,
Yeah, and that's really nice because what I've noticed in a cycling context, what I noticed during like the first lockdown is so many like people were like dusting off a bike they had in the shed and rusty chain, getting on that and just going for a spin, and that's great. That's really great. My first road bike the first bike I had was a pink BMX. It was my sister's BMX, and then the first like proper road bike I had was like really nothing special. The first proper road bike I had was a red Specialized Alley. It was like,
oh man,
great entry level, but it was the entry level bike. It had, like really not very good, but it was a bike. And it worked. It 2 wheels, a pedals, a crank. There's 8 speed.
Oh man, funny enough, you just cussed down my bike. That's the first bike I got, like road bike I've got. I still have it now, but I think yours sounds like it was an older one because mine's 9 speed.
Yeah, mine was like, I'm talking, I got it in 2010, I think, or 9.
No, mine's older. Yeah,
you obviously you got a better spec one than me then.
Maybe, but yeah, it was big bucks to me at the time. Like I think I spent 500 quid on it.
Yeah,
but that's my commute to work. Baby, that I can't sell it. I can't get rid of it. There's too many memories, It took me to Paris.
Well, yeah, that's it. I mean, I did sell mine eventually, but I sold it because I quit my job and I needed cash basically. So
fair enough.
and I didn't have another job lined up. That's when I left architecture, so I sold it because I needed it. But I had other bikes at that point, and I slightly regret it, but also I don't, because it was 3 or 4 sizes too big for me. It was huge, and I ride a 54, and I think it was a 58 or a 60, so it's a big bike. And but the reason why I bought it was because I bought it from a shop, and they just couldn't sell it, so it'd been there for ages. And they're like, "Oh, you know, it's going to be too big for you." I was like, "Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'll make it work." It was so much cheaper than buying another one, so I was like, "Yeah, I'll have it." I think it should have been like maybe 400 quid, and
Yeah.
I couldn't sell it. It'd been in the shop for like a couple of years.
You got
They
knocked
did it for
down.
like, I think they did it for like 250, something like that.
No, that's a deal. But yeah, you've moved on since then. Oh, but Chris, you know what? I think, and I've done 5. But there's one more that I wanted to say. I
Go
really
on.
wanted to say. Can I? It's a bit cheesy, but it's about teamwork makes the dream work. It's a bit cheesy, I know, but I had to say it because I have to say, like, with everything that I've been able to do, like, it's not like by myself, and I just wouldn't want to give the impression like, oh, like I've done all of this stuff, because I really haven't. Like, massive thanks to my wife, because when I'm out riding my bike, being a big kid, like, she's covering the base with our actual kids, and giving me the space to, explore and do all the stuff that, I do, and vice versa, like I cover for her too. But
Yeah.
she's been amazing with the whole thing, and actually came up with the name Ride for Unity. So I've got to shout her out on that. I have to. And then, like, the family, like the global community, like, Steph Graysby up in Yorkshire, Alison Wood, who does our Friday ride, Charlotte Hartwell, who does the Monday ride, and like a ton more people that just come on board with just helping with this and other things in life generally. So I have to just say, like, ask for help. Or sometimes you don't have to ask. Like, good people are out there and are willing to, work together on a common mission. So I have to just, I think, make sure I remember that, because teamwork definitely makes the dream work.
Yeah, and that, I think what ties into that is to never be afraid to, never be too proud to ask. Afraid to ask, because like, I'm a big believer, if you don't ask, you don't get. It's that simple.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
there's never any harm in asking. It doesn't matter what it is. There's never any harm in asking.
definitely. Because
I just realised I keep looking to this side because I got something and I want to show it to you because I think you'll love it.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I think you'll like this. This arrived today.
Ooh, hello. Is that the new Lazer?
It's a Lazer Genesis. It's what I've been wearing a lot. It's my favourite helmet.
You've got, because there's another one that you've got, which is like the two-tone purpley one, is it?
It's over here.
Oh.
It has got loads of stuff in it, but that's the one.
Yeah, I love that one.
So the like two-tony purpley one was like, it's called Purple Haze, and it was a limited run of it was done. And then this one, which I think you can kind of see, is basically chrome.
It's beautiful, yeah.
This was also limited. I bought this one. I'm sponsored by Lazer. I bought this because I really wanted it, because I couldn't get hold of one, because they just didn't have any left. And so this is my present to myself for moving house.
Love that.
There's 2 things I bought. This is one of them, and then the other thing I bought was a pair of shoes, basically.
What have you gone for there? Are you stuck with the Shimanos, or you've gone?
They are Shimano. There's Shimano gravel shoes, but they're a purple to a green fade.
Nice.
So good. But they're 2.
I might just stay on here and we do show and tell, like, because you got some cool stuff. You got some cool stuff. Yeah.
Basically, this helmet and those shoes have been things that have sat in my basket in Sigma Sports for about 5 months. Yeah. and I've not bought them. And then they sold out at Sigma Sports.
Oh no.
So, and then I had a bit of panic. We moved house and I had this panic and I was like, I need to try and find them somewhere. So this helmet has come from a little bike shop somewhere, like somewhere near where I live, basically.
Yeah, that's cool.
Basically had one in stock. And then the shoes have come from Spain because I couldn't get them in the UK anymore.
That's amazing.
So
I'm thinking that helmet's going to go well with, you know, the Cervélo that you got. I think Andy Spoon Customs and the guys they did a respray on that for you. That helmet with that bike. Not that you haven't thought about this. I reckon that's a match made in heaven. You know.
I've not put this helmet next to that bike yet, but yeah, it is.
That's serious. Look at it sparkling. Like,
so it's insane, isn't it?
I love it.
Yeah, the Genesis is like, of all the helmets that I've used from Lazer, my favorite is the Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
And my next favorite is the Century. And the reason being is the Century's got like a vent on the front, which you can flip. And it's just like, if it's really cold, you can flip it so it's closed and it's a bit warmer. But this helmet, the Genesis, is hands down my favorite helmet they made. And because it's like super light and it's new. But I've not worn it yet. I put it on my head and it fits. And I knew it was going to fit anyway because it's the same size as the other one. But yeah, I thought you'd appreciate how ridiculously cool it is.
It is. I don't even know if people say bling anymore, but that is blinging off the charts on the screen right now.
It is bling, isn't it? It is probably
super bling.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, the bike you're talking to about, my S5, that is, I've got it here now and it is stunning. The work that Andy and Sammy and Luke, the guys at Gun Control and Spoon, did in it, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
No does it justice.
No, you almost saw me down there because I spoke to Andy. I think it was the weekend you were going to go down to get it. And he said that you were coming down. I was like thinking to myself, social distance here. I know, but maybe I could just go and hide in the warehouse and then go, surprise!
Yeah, I was meant to go down, I can't remember it, before I moved, and we just couldn't make it work. He was really busy. And then when I moved, I didn't own a car, so I had to get a car. I haven't owned a car for 8 years. And I was like, all right, I kind of need one now. I don't really like owning a car, but I now live in the middle of the countryside, and it's quite useful at points when the nearest train station is like 20 minutes drive, you know. So it's quite useful for that. And also, like, actually for me, practically having a car means like if I've got races at different points of the country, I can drive to them. So it's quite useful.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I basically, we moved in, I bought a car and then drove down to see him. I think it was like the third time I'd driven a new car.
Amazing.
And picked up the bike, and yeah, it's stunning. It is absolutely beautiful.
It looks really good.
And we're working on 2 other projects at the moment. So
yeah, watch this space. I will. I love the one that you did for the raffle. That I think was a chap called Adam won that one.
Adam, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, because I had a chat with Andy, and he showed it to us at the time. Because did you paint that one? Did you have a hand in painting it?
I painted it.
You got some skills, man.
So they, Luke and Sam prepped the frame, sanded it back, and masked off the logos. So they prepared it all for me. I went there and painted it, and then they did the clear coat over the top, the gloss over the top.
Nice.
They did the bits that are really, really hard. I did the easy bit, basically.
I wouldn't have known that, you know. It looks dope anyway. It looks amazing.
The doing
it again.
Sanding it down, that's really hard because there's a certain, you need to know the point to stop sanding, basically. It's carbon frame. I could have done it, but better to let a professional do that one, in my opinion.
Yep.
then prepping the frame is simply putting a base coat on it and painting the logos on, which are painted in white. And so when I was given the frame, it was effectively like a blank canvas. I could do what I wanted with it. And I painted it in the shed round the corner from the main studio, because they didn't have any room. So I just went in this little shed around the corner and was painting it. And then Andy was coming out every now and then, checking on me, like I love Andy. He's a good friend of mine, and he was checking on me like a dad, oh, maybe you should try this. And all this. I was like, nah, it's cool. And then Dad tried to just check in and get involved, and son being like, fuck off, I'm done. It's all good.
I've got this.
I've got this. Cool. And he came out and I was like, what do you think? Do you think I should do another coat? And he was like, he said to me, knowing when to stop is very hard sometimes. Maybe now is the time that you should know when to stop. Amazing. And I was like, cool. If you think it looks good, I think it looks good. So I stopped. And then the frame was then hung up in the paint studio for the colors to dry. And then, which doesn't take that long, obviously, but it depends on the certain paints do take longer to dry. They hung it up and they put a clear coat over the top, which is what, when you look at a bike, and it's basically a protective layer that goes over the top of the paint. And sometimes that's gloss, sometimes that's matte. Different glossinesses you can do. And then they built it all up, and then we raffled it off, and it made a lot of money for charity. That did split 50-50, half to Movember, half to Pace. And to be honest, I will say I was quite glad it went to a guy in the UK, because when I say a guy, I would have loved it to go to anyone in the UK, but I liked that it went to someone in the UK because it's easy for me to go and see it. Which is ridiculous, really. But the irony is I announced it on Christmas Day. I was at my partner's house. We'd just been for a walk. I was half asleep still, and we did the raffle while I was sitting on her sofa, and we we're getting our Christmas lunch ready. And I did it in the morning because I was like, I'll get it done. And then we've got the rest of the day. Is it done? Did it in the morning, and Adam called Adam out. And then what's nice is I met Adam on 107 TDF. So it's really quite nice. Yeah. Someone I met who I rode with for a bit. And I really like that he won it, because I knew that the frame was the right size for him. So he would ride it.
Oh, lovely. So it wouldn't just be, because it is a work of art, man. It could just be hanging on your wall, but to know that someone's going to get use out of it is even better, really.
Yeah, so, and he has been riding it. He's been posting loads of photos of him out on it.
I've seen. Very. This is the FOMO. I should have bought more tickets.
Mate, it'd be way too big for you though. Way too small for you. Sorry.
I'm a 58.
Yeah, it's a 52. 52.
Ah, fair enough. Yeah. I try it though. Try it. Give it a little. Yeah.
I mean, small frames are really aero, so you can make it work. Yeah. Just put a long stem on it and a bigger seat post.
That's it. Smash around it. But it's great what you've done, man. And really looking forward to seeing, what comes next. I know you probably always get that, what are you going to do next? What are you going to do next? But just whatever you do, it's going to be awesome. So
it's my most hated question.
Is it?
Yeah, and it's.
I didn't ask it.
No, you didn't. I don't mind talking about it to friends, but it's my most hated question from people I don't know, because it makes me anxious. It genuinely makes me anxious, because it puts that pressure on. There's an expectation.
Yeah. And
reality is, let's just enjoy the moment we're in for a while. Yeah. Not thinking about what's next. And then I know that at a point I'll get hungry for doing something. And that's, as I started with this episode, talking about this challenge from November at the end of this month, is because I'm hungry to do something. And how that hunger comes is because it's been long enough that I can't remember how much the last one hurt.
allegedly like having a baby. That's why people do it more than once.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, it'd be awesome, man. I love it. I love it. It's great what you've been doing, and yeah, really appreciate you having me here to talk a bit about. Well, we could just be talking forever, really. Life, unity, all sorts. Really, it's always good when we get to catch up. So yeah, really appreciate it.
Chat. On that note, I'm gonna end it and say thank you to you, Kofi, for your time, for talking a bit about Ride for Unity. If you don't know Ride for Unity, I'll put all the social links in the description. Follow, like, subscribe, share, talk, engage, educate, learn, smile. That's loads of good summary.
That's so good, man. Thank you.
And yeah, make sure you check out what Kofi's doing, because he is doing a lot of very, very good things. And as you would have realized from listening to this, is a good human being. And
thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just trying to follow in your footsteps, man. I'm trying to follow in your footsteps.
Stop it. Yeah. You don't need to embarrass yourself by doing that. No one wants to follow these footsteps. They're big footsteps.
I do. I want to do 700 kilometers in 30 hours. That's what I'm thinking about. I can't get it out of my head. I'm like, how the hell am I going to do that?
Oh, mate. That's exactly what goes through my head most of the time. How the hell am I going to do that? Yeah. All right, dude. Absolutely.
All right, man. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.